Christine Brennan just shocked the basketball world. She went on the Rich Eisen show and said exactly what millions of fans have been thinking, but were too afraid to say. The WNBA completely fumbled Caitlin Clark. And no, this isn't just some random sports blogger or YouTuber saying it. This is Christine Brennan, a respected sports journalist who has been covering women's sports for over 40 years. She's not just reporting this, she's been fighting for women's sports her whole career. She knows what she's talking about.
So walk me through this book and how much, I guess, Caitlin Clark's, was there any cooperation, any reach out to her at all, Christine, for this book?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. She answered 40 to 50 questions that I asked her. Yeah, she's great. She's better in person than you'd hope. Yeah, what happened was right around the time, actually, you and I spoke, which was the Olympic snub, which, by the way, is a chapter title in the book. And I have even more reporting on that abysmal decision. And I continue to report it. So there's breaking news within the book on that chapter alone, as well as there's lots of.
Christine Brennan made it very clear the WNBA didn't just mishandle Caitlin Clark. They treated her success like a problem, not a blessing. She said when she spoke to a WNBA official early in the season, she expected excitement. After all, Caitlin Clark had just brought millions of new fans to women's basketball. But instead of excitement, Brennan said she heard fear, anxiety, confusion. Imagine that. You get the most popular athlete your league has ever seen, and instead of celebrating, you panic.
But within a few weeks, I was, just early July thinking, gosh, should I maybe do a book on this? I hadn't written a book in a long time. And this has become my 8th book, 4th with Scribner. Literally 54 weeks ago, there was no book. And now we're number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. So, it shows what it shows, Rich, is the incredible power, appeal of this 23-year-old woman.
Brennan shared some jaw-dropping facts. Last season, the Indiana Fever, Clark's team, had more fans at home games than 5 NBA teams. Let that sink in. A WNBA team outdrew multiple NBA teams because of one player. And when Clark plays, the TV ratings are sky high. But when she misses a game, more than half of the audience disappears. That's not a small dip, that's a complete collapse. Even legends like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan never had that kind of effect on viewership. Caitlin Clark is that powerful.
It wouldn't have been caught dead watching women's basketball when I would be on radio shows, or, you and I might be talking at various things. Guys would laugh like, "You're not covering the women's Final Four, are you? Like, why would you go to the women's Olympic gold medal game at all the Olympics I cover? What a waste of time. It's not good basketball. It's below the rim. They're rolling around on the floor. It's jump balls." These are the things I heard. I was laughed at as I would advocate the coverage of women's basketball, among all the other things that I've been able to do, men's and women's, right? Sports. And honest to goodness, to see now those guys that would have been calling into sports talk shows around the country laughing, they're the guys now buying the number 22 jerseys. They're wearing them not only to games, but to the grocery store and the gas station. They are Caitlin Clark's biggest fans, and they are the reason that these TV ratings are through the roof.
So why did the league struggle to support her? Christine Brennan says it clearly. The WNBA wasn't ready, and they didn't have a plan, and they didn't know how to handle so much attention. They didn't understand how big this moment was. Instead of building her up, they acted like she was causing trouble just by being popular. They tried to manage the moment instead of embracing it.
Average home attendance last year, first year of Caitlin Clark, was higher than the average home attendance of 5 NBA teams. I cannot even believe I said that sentence, and I researched it, and it's in On Her Game. Point being, this has absolutely been a sea change, the likes of which I did not envision seeing in my career. That's how big a deal. And I chronicled the whole thing, and Caitlin answered every question, tough questions, looked you in the eye, goes on with answers, goes off on a tangent, comes back and finishes the answer. I mean, she's just a delight.
Brennan also talked about something else. The physical hits Clark has been taking. Remember Marina Mabrey's cheap shot? When you injure the player who's bringing in half your viewers and selling out arenas, you're not just hurting her, you're hurting the whole league. Every time Clark gets knocked around, it puts millions of dollars at risk. From ticket sales, ads, sponsors, everything. That's why Brennan said the WNBA needs to protect its star, not just on the court, but off it too.
Breen, she likes Caitlin Clark. She gets it. At least I thought she got it. But when she did that, I mean, Shelton and Caitlin go back a long way because of Iowa and Ohio State through the Big Ten. And so, there's chippy play. And Caitlin Clark does not need me or you or anyone to defend her. Oh, she's not a victim. She gives it as good as she takes it. She's tough. She's strong. She's revving up the crowd. She loves it. And people love her for that. But when Marina Mabrey plowed into Caitlin Clark like a freight train, if that did not injure Caitlin Clark, as far as we know, although now she's had these 4 injuries, and the last time she missed a game was sophomore year of high school. So bizarre, absolutely bizarre what's happening. And so obviously disheartening for Caitlin Clark and so many of her fans. But when Marina Mabrey does that, you know who she's hurting at the end of the day? She's hurting Marina Mabrey and her earning potential. Because when Caitlin Clark is injured, the first time she was injured this year, Rich, she would miss 5 games. During those 5 games, when she disappeared, more than half of the viewership of the WNBA, not just the Fever, but the WNBA, more than half of the viewership also disappeared. That is falling off a cliff.
And then there's the Olympic team. Clark was left off the U.S. women's basketball Olympic team, and Brennan says that was a massive mistake. She should have been on that team, period. No other player brings in global attention like Clark. Leaving her off doesn't just hurt fans. It hurts the business, the brand, the future. Brennan says it shows how out of touch the decision makers really are.
Tiger Woods, I looked it up. When he would be out of a major tournament or missing something, it would drop a little. Michael Jordan, when he went to baseball, dropped a little. Others over the years. Over half of your TV audience just disappears. That is devastating to the WNBA and to its financial future, and all those players with the CBA now up and they're having these negotiations. They need to realize sooner than later, not that you treat her like kid gloves, but that Caitlin is to them even more important than Tiger was to men's golf. Because men's golf had already had Arnie Jack, Byron Nelson, Sam Snead, going all the way back to Bobby Jones. It already had the commercials and the standing within the sports culture.
Christine Brennan did something few in the sports world have dared to do. She peeled back the curtain on the uncomfortable truths inside the WNBA, not with malice, but with clarity, conviction, and decades of earned credibility. One of the most powerful elements of her critique wasn't just about TV ratings or missed marketing opportunities. It was about something deeper, more human, and more complex. She confronted the cultural and racial tensions that have silently shaped the narrative around Caitlin Clark, and she did it with a level of care and honesty that only someone like Brennan, someone who has dedicated her entire career to fighting for women's sports, could manage without being dismissed. In a league where nearly 75% of the players are black and many identify as LGBTQ+, Clark's sudden rise to fame as a white, straight Midwestern woman was bound to stir emotions, and not all of them were positive. The WNBA, after all, is not just a sports league. It's a cultural space that has developed its own unique identity, forged through years of being overlooked, underfunded, and disrespected. It is a league that has survived on pride, grit, and defiance. A league where players often carry the dual weight of athletic excellence and social activism. So when Caitlin Clark arrived, not quietly, but with a media explosion, fan frenzy, and corporate dollars flying in her direction, and the atmosphere shifted instantly, and for many, uncomfortably. Clark didn't simply join the league, she transformed it overnight. She brought new fans who had never once watched a WNBA game. She sold out arenas in cities where the team hadn't drawn major crowds in years. She boosted merchandise sales and made Indiana Fever games must-see television. But while all of this looked like a miracle to outsiders, inside the locker rooms and across social media, a quiet resistance was forming. Some players questioned the hype, some shrugged off her popularity, some believed she hadn't yet earned the spotlight. Others, more visibly, met her with physical play that teetered on the line of respect and resentment. Brennan acknowledged this. She didn't vilify the players. She understood them. She recognized the frustration of those who had been overlooked for years, the veterans who had given their bodies and lives to the game and had never once received a tenth of the attention Clark was getting as a rookie. But Brennan also made it clear this wasn't just another rookie. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a talented player with a big following. She was, and is, a once-in-a-generation phenomenon, the kind of transcendent figure who doesn't just fit into a league, but forces it to grow around her. And Brennan's point was simple, but profound. Maybe it's time to rethink how we treat players like her. Maybe it's time to recognize that fairness isn't about everyone getting the same. It's about recognizing when someone is changing the entire trajectory of the sport and adjusting accordingly, because tearing Clark down won't preserve the league's culture. It will only prevent it from evolving. Then came the moment that truly showed just how fragile the league's relationship with media and public scrutiny had become. Brennan, doing what any seasoned journalist would do, asked a simple question after Caitlin Clark was on the receiving end of yet another hard foul. The question wasn't hostile or unfair or emotional. It was professional, calm, and direct. Was the hit intentional? That was it. And yet the response from the WNBA Players Association was nothing short of stunning. Instead of addressing the question or defending the play, they attacked Brennan personally. They posted a public statement accusing her of stirring division and even went as far as to suggest that her media credentials, her access to do her job, should be revoked. It was, in Brennan's words, surreal for a league that had begged for mainstream media coverage for years, for visibility, for press, for respect, to turn around and try to silence one of the few journalists who had consistently given them serious national attention was not just hypocritical, it was self-sabotage. And here's the part that stings the most. Brennan has done more for women's sports than almost any single journalist alive. She has covered them with dignity when no one else would. She has defended them against sexist attacks. She has written books, columns, and essays about the importance of investing in women athletes. And now she was being punished for doing exactly what journalists are supposed to do: ask hard questions when hard things happen. All of this, the tension, the silence, the media blowback, it would be easier to digest if Caitlin Clark had given the league a reason to doubt her, but she hasn't. In fact, she's done the opposite. Clark has handled every step of this rocky, complicated season with professionalism far beyond her years. She hasn't lashed out. She hasn't called out players by name. She hasn't responded to dirty plays or Olympic snubs or viral disrespect with anger. Instead, she's stayed focused. She's kept playing, kept grinding, kept showing up game after game, knowing full well that she's carrying the weight of a league on her shoulders, a league that hasn't always had her back. And those who truly know Caitlin Clark, not just the headlines, not just the viral clips, but the person behind the jersey, speak of her in terms rarely reserved for athletes in today's spotlight-driven world. Her former Iowa teammate and close friend, Kate Martin, captured it in a single sentence that carried the weight of years of shared battles, private moments, and hard-earned respect. She would never say a bad word about anybody. She doesn't make excuses. That's what makes her great. That line isn't just a compliment. It's a mirror held up to everything Clark has stood for during this whirlwind year, and everything the league around her has struggled to understand. Because Caitlin Clark is not just the most talked about name in women's basketball. She's not just a rising rookie or a marketing sensation or a stat sheet machine. She is, in every meaningful sense, the most valuable asset the WNBA has ever had. Not just for what she does with the ball in her hands, but for what she represents without it. She is humility wrapped in talent. She is quiet composure in the middle of deafening noise. She is relentless work ethic disguised as ease. She is the player that millions of little girls now point to and say, "That's who I want to be." And millions of grown men, many of them watching women's basketball seriously for the first time, now wear her jersey in grocery store aisles and office meetings like a badge of honor. Clark is not simply an athlete. She is a moment, a cultural reset, a brand built on authenticity, not arrogance. And yet, somehow, the WNBA keeps treating her not as an answer, but as a complication, not as a bridge to the future, but as a burden to manage. There has been caution instead of celebration, silence instead of strategy, and in some corners, resistance instead of rallying. This is what Christine Brennan is trying to scream into the void. Because this is no longer about a rookie needing to adjust to the league. This is about whether the league is willing to adjust to the moment it has been gifted, a moment it has been chasing, dreaming of for nearly 3 decades. The WNBA has survived on resilience. It has endured disrespect. It has been laughed at, dismissed, underpaid, and overlooked. And through all of that, it built something sacred. A league defined by pride, passion, and perseverance. But now, for the first time in its history, it is no longer just surviving. It has a chance to thrive. The spotlight has arrived, not borrowed, not begged for, but earned through the sheer gravity of one player who has made people care. The cameras are rolling, the stands are full, the numbers are real, the sponsors are ready, the public is curious. And still, the league hesitates. That's the warning inside Brennan's words. Not an attack, not a takedown, but a wake-up call. Because the truth is this, Caitlin Clark can handle it. She's proven that, time and time again. She has handled the pressure, the fouls, the exclusion, the media circus, and the uncomfortable conversations, all without losing her joy for the game or her respect for those around her. But the bigger question now, the one the entire sports world is beginning to ask, is whether the WNBA can handle her. Can the league stop being defensive long enough to embrace its biggest opportunity? Can it set aside ego and politics to build a future bigger than any one player but inspired by the presence of one? Can it evolve beyond survival and finally step into the spotlight like it was meant to be there? Because history doesn't wait, and fans don't forgive leagues that waste magic when they see it right in front of them. The window to get this right is not wide, it's narrow, it's fleeting, and it is closing faster than anyone wants to admit. The question is no longer what Caitlin Clark can do for the WNBA. It's what the WNBA is willing to do, or not do, with Caitlin Clark. And that answer will define the future of women's basketball.